Good Thursday morning, everyone. We're going to talk for just a little while this morning on the subject of the Book of the Law and Crowley's comments on the Book of the Law. The reason I'm thinking about this morning is because I've gotten a couple of messages from people who are just very anxious to find copies of Crowley's own commentaries on the Book of the Law, in so much as no one is supposed to interpret the Book of the Law or discuss the contents of it, or to be shunned by all. And so everyone is supposed to make up their own minds based on Crowley's own comments on it. And those comments were published under a number of editions of what was called the Laws for All. This one was edited and introduced by Israel Regardie and published at the time by Falcon Press. New Falcon Publications. The other day I read from the Magical and Philosophical Commentaries on the Book of the Law, which is absolutely stunning, breathtakingly stunning, and now extremely rare and expensive. 93 publications from the 70s, I believe. Be that as it may, even these these paperbacks are increasingly hard to find and are getting collectors' prices. And I really, I'm sad that such an important collection of writings is so difficult to find. And there are various very good reasons for it, especially good reasons put forward by various publishers. And we, of course, respect publishers that are bringing us lots of Crowley works that otherwise wouldn't be available. But I have to express my frustration that this book in particular, or a version of Crowley's comments, is not more readily and reasonably available. The third chapter is the chapter that most people have questions about and difficulties with, because it's just such a wild and crazy chapter. I'm going to read two things from it, and that's just all from Crowley. I'm going to, first of all, read to you chapter 3, verse 34, because it concerns the ending of the Aeon of Horus. As all aeons, eventually they have their birth and they end. And the writing of the Book of the Law supposedly was the beginning, marked the beginning of the age of Horus. But every beginning has an end, and this is treated upon on verse 34 of chapter 3. But your holy place shall be untouched throughout the centuries, though with fire and sword it be burnt down and shattered. Yet an invisible house there standeth, and shall stand until the fall of the great equinox, when Turumachis shall arise, and the double-wanded one assume my throne. Prophet shall arise, and bring fresh fever from the skies. Another woman shall awake the lust and worship of the snake. Another soul of God and beast shall mingle in the globed priest. Another sacrifice shall stain the tomb. Another king shall reign, and blessing no longer be poured, to the hawk-headed mystical lord. Now, I've read that and without comment, because the next chapter I read will contain Crowley's comment, and it harkens back to that verse. The next verse I'm going to read is chapter 3, verse 61. There is an end to the word of the God enthroned in Ra's seat, lightening the girders of the soul. Now, there doesn't seem to be an old comment on this, only the new comment. Note that Haru Raha is not merely a particular form of Ra, but the God enthroned in Ra's seat. That is, his kingdom on earth is temporary, as explained in verse 34. And he is here conceived as the Hierophant, lightening the girders of the soul. That is, bringing man to initiation. These girders imply the skeletal structure on which the soul is supported, the conditions of its incarnation. Man is the heir of the ages of evolutionary experience, on certain lines, so that he is organized on formulae which have determined the type of his development. Of some such formulae are consciousness, but not all. Some such formulae, we are conscious, but not all. Thus it is true for all men, empirically, that a straight line is the shortest distance between 2 points. Some savages may not know this consciously, but they base their actions on that knowledge. Now, we cannot doubt that consciousness is developed elsewhere than in man. Only a blind megalomaniac or a Christian divine could suppose our infinitesimal mote of a planet the sole habitat of mind, especially as ours are at best totally incompetent to comprehend nature. It is also unlikely that our Earth's physical conditions of temperature, atmosphere, density, etc., which some still regard as essential to life, are found frequently. We are only one of 9 planets ourselves, and it's absurd to deny that life exists on others, or in the sun itself, just because the conditions of our own life are absent elsewhere. Such life and mind may therefore be utterly different to anything we know of. The girders of the soul in other spheres may be other than ours. The above argument is a case of a girder. We are bound mentally by our race experience of the environments in which our own lives flourish. A pioneer choosing a camp must look for wood, water, perhaps shelter, perhaps game. In another planet, he might not need any of these. The girders which determine the form of our souls are therefore limitations to our thoughts, as well as supports. In the same way, rails help a train run easily, but confine it to a definite direction. The laws of nature and thought, mathematics, logic, and so on, are girders of that sort. Our race inherited conceptions of a space prevented man until quite recent years from conceiving of a non-Euclidean geometry or the existence of a fourth dimension. The initiate soon becomes aware of the untruth of many of these limiting laws of his mind. He has to identify being with not being, to perceive matter as continuous and homogeneous, and for as many another truth apprehended directly by pure perception, and consequently not to be refuted by syllogistic methods. The laws of logic are thus discovered to be superficial and their scope only partial. It is significant in this connection that such advanced thinkers as the Honorable Bertrand Russell have found themselves obliged to refer mathematical laws to logic. It seems to have escaped them that the laws of logic are no more than a statement of the limitations of their own intelligence. I quote from the Book of Lies. Chinese music is the little chapter. Explain this happening. It must have a natural cause. It must have a supernatural cause. Let these two asses be set to grind corn. And his comment on that from the Book of Lies. May, might, must, should, probably, maybe, we may safely assume, ought. It is hardly questionable, almost certainly. Poor hacks, let them be turned out to grass. Proof is only possible in mathematics, and mathematics is only a matter of arbitrary conventions. And yet doubt is a good servant, but a bad master. A perfect mistress, but a nagging wife. White is the lash of the overseer. White is black is the watchword of the slave. The master takes no heed. The Chinese cannot help thinking that the octave has 5 notes. The more necessary anything appears to my mind, the more certain it is that I only assert a limitation. I slept with faith and found a corpse in my arms on awakening. I drank and danced all night with doubt and found her a virgin in the morning. And that's the end of that section from the Book of Lies. Now then, consider the man whose soul has thoroughly explored its structure, is actively conscious of its girders of axiom. He must find that they confine him like prison bars when he would gain the freedom of the initiate. In this verse, therefore, doth the God, enthroned in Ra's seat, declare that his word lightens or removes the oppression of these girders of the soul. The study of this chapter is accordingly a soul preparatory course for whosoever will become initiate. And that's where we'll stop today. Once again, I'm sure if you shop around on the internet, you can find yourself a copy of The Law is for All at a normal price. And I don't want to encourage anyone to break any laws or publishing laws, but if you can find it somewhere, a version of it electronically, at least it is worth your while to read Crowley's own comments on the Book of the Law, You might not agree with all of them or any of them, but they are Crowley's thoughts, and they will help you also see how Crowley's thoughts and opinions and ideas concerning the mysteries of the Book of the Law evolve over time. And it's up to you to do your own interpretation for yourself. But please don't push it down anybody else's throat. Until tomorrow, continue to be good to yourself and be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will.